Hey everyone, it's Curtis and Christine.
Hola!
So we've been talking to a few people who've been looking for places to rent, and perhaps you're one of those as well, and you've noticed that rental prices keep climbing, but the homes or the apartments are staying in the same size.
And so we're talking about the place you're currently renting. So we hear this a lot, and it's a fair question that people bring to us. As your rent keeps incrementally increasing in the same place that you've been living in, at what time would it maybe make more sense to actually just buy a place?
So we're going to just break down a little bit today what we've been seeing for rental prices.
Break it down.
Within our neighborhood. And in particular, the three major areas in our neighborhood. But we know that there's lots more than just London, St. Thomas, and Strathroy.
Yeah, so we can say up front that this isn't a video. We're not saying that it's stupid to rent and that you need to buy. That's not what we're making here. We're just simply going to lay out some numbers about what this looks like for you, and you can actually make a decision for yourself what makes sense.
So first of all, maybe let's just talk a little bit about what we've been seeing in situations within our
Scenarios, if you will.
Scenarios. Let's just say that. So we're getting a couple of different scenarios. First of all, we're getting, say, a young couple. They've been together for a while. They've been renting one bedroom and they live really close to downtown. They have great walkability. They have lots of amenities that they're really enjoying and they love their neighborhood, but they're realizing they need more space and they need more room, but they don't want to give up what they have.
So really the location, right? So maybe the second scenario is a family in a 2-bedroom rental, and they're realizing that as their kids are getting bigger, they have friends, they need more space, and maybe there's no backyard or it's not close to anything. And every time you look at a bigger rental, the costs just go up and up and up to a point where renting something that's larger might actually be the same price as owning.
So everyone's life is very different. We understand that people are in different stages of life, but these are just a couple of the scenarios that we've been seeing a lot. And when that happens, a lot of times the question that comes up, is it cheaper to rent? Or does it just feel that way?
That's a valid question. So rent varies, of course, a lot by building. So rent varies if it's an apartment, if it's a townhome, if it's a house. Of course, rent varies by location. But what we've done is we've pulled some numbers of some realistic 2 and 3 bedroom units in just those areas, and we've put them on the screen here. You can have a look at them and you can see if that's what you're thinking.
And as you're looking, you're going to maybe be a little surprised about something that we do see a lot, is that the rental prices overlap. For instance, a newer unit in St. Thomas could seem to be as much rent as an older one in London.
Interesting.
I hope we're having a good look at that. But if we look at what a starter home in those locations would be, we can pull a starter home price in each of those locations and just see what that monthly mortgage payment would look like, and then make the comparison to that rental in those same locations.
Yeah. And you can see from that comparison that's currently on the screen, starter home price next to estimated monthly payments for all 3 of those areas. And it actually is pretty close to the same. It's very similar.
When you put that next to each other, you're going to see that a lot of times the mortgage payment is actually towards the top end of the rent ranges that we just showed you. They really land quite close together. I love Kurt's gestures. I'm not too sure if you can see that just yet with the charts in the way, but he's got some gestures going.
It's close. Closer than you would expect. So it's worth clearly saying here that this is just a mortgage estimate. and that mortgage is really just a monthly payment. There are going to be more money involved on a monthly basis. For example, property tax is going to be extra, insurance, maintenance, all of those things are separate. We're just saying that this is the price for your mortgage payment. We're not saying that that owning is automatically cheaper once everything's factored in, because there is going to be a lot additional on top of just the mortgage payment.
So we hope you're finding it worth seeing the comparison side by side and getting an idea whether or not whether or not renting is still the best option for you. Because what you're comparing right now, again, is just the main monthly payment. A mortgage monthly payment versus a rent monthly payment, like an apples to apples idea.
Now, one thing a lot of renters maybe don't realize is that your down payment, or the amount that you put down, moves that monthly number more than what you would think.
So that number that I've been showing you was actually just a 5% down monthly mortgage payment, but it is part of a simple math. If you're borrowing less, if you're putting more money down, then of course what you are paying is going to be less. As you're putting more money down, what you are shrinking is the mortgage insurance premiums. And then once you've actually paid, like clear that out, say you'd hit the 20% down, that disappears. The mortgage insurance premiums disappear.
So if you've been assuming that you need a huge down payment in order to purchase a house, that's not true. It's actually worth looking at what the difference is in your monthly payments if you put 5% down, if you put 10% down, if you put 20% down, and of course seeing the difference. Because the difference between 5% down and 10% down, depending on the property that you're on, so it's probably a little bit smaller than you'd think. You can actually keep a lot of your large chunk of money in your pocket. Mm-hmm. And to be clear, these are only estimates for your comparison. Your actual rate that you get for a mortgage payment would actually depend a little bit more on your lender, what your credit score is like, your qualifications, those types of things, and of course the house that you're purchasing. This is just a starting point for the conversation that you need to have with your mortgage broker. It's not a rate guarantee, although it sure looks good.
It sure does. And just see, when you're going to remove your mortgage insurance premiums, and it also means a mortgage rate will go up a little bit, because now you're going to get an uninsured rate. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the two renters that we were talking about. What could they do if they're really wanting to think of buying? For the couple that lives downtown, they want to stay in the city, they don't want to give up their walkable lifestyle, being close to the amenities. There are some great pockets within London that has really great starter homes at a low price. It still allows you to be close to everything. We've got the Oldies Village, we've got Blackfriars, the Coves. Those are some really great options to look at. You're still super close to everything.
And for the family, like in St. Thomas or in Strathroy, staying put might make it a lot of sense for you as well, because they have real family neighborhoods that they offer, actual yards, still a quick drive back to London whenever you need something. And like a city like St. Thomas has actually seen of a lot of investment in the last little while. A lot of new large companies have moved there, and rents keep going up and up and up because people are filling those spaces. And Strathroy has its own hospital, which is really important for a lot of people.
Yep, definitely. And for renters who are open to a little bit more of a drive, there are still areas that we would say that are within 30 to 40 minutes of South Costco, where you can actually stretch your budget further. You can get more house, more yard, and that quieter pace of life that perhaps you want for your family and your children.
And at a less price. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck. And if we're going to be realistic, if we were to get in a car and drive to South Costco from where we live in downtown, it would probably take that amount of time as well. So we understand it's not going to be the right fit for everyone, but for the right buyer, it might give a little bit more breathing room. And of course, it might give you just a little bit more of what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're not saying as we're sitting here talking to you that buying is the right move and this is what you have to do, because we understand it's not for everyone. But we really wanted to give you guys the options to know what it would look like if you're looking at your monthly payments. So that way you're going in with your eyes open.
Eyes wide open. Anyway, so the other thing that people want to factor in is, of course, the commute, right? So if you're living in St. Thomas, Strathroy, if you're out in West Elgin, or if you end up in Glencoe, it's going to add a real amount of commuting time to your job if it's in central London. So you want to map this out beforehand, because you have to think of how much time you're actually spending in that commute, how much money you're spending in gas, all of those things.
Right, and lifestyle. So if it's important to you to be 5 minutes from where your favorite spots are, then perhaps a smaller town is just a trade-off. Even if it does have the extra space or the budget goes further, it may not be what you want to do.
You have to really imagine yourself in that area and want to be there. So the other thing that people need to factor in is maintenance on a property, because that's where the real shift is. If you've been renting for a long time, you've probably never budgeted for monthly maintenance, different things that you need to save for, because you will have to do a roof at some point, you will have to do windows, AC, those types of things. So you need to factor that.
Or you can find a move-in ready house. So none of that means don't buy. It just means you need to think of the whole picture, not just the monthly payment. If you need something that's just like really maintenance free, there's a lot of options out there of move-in ready homes where all of that hard work has been done for you.
Really, every renter situation is a little different. So however much you want to put as a down payment, whatever your credit is, whatever you actually are looking for in a home, what you need. The numbers that we've showed you here today are just a starting point, a reference point. It's not your personal answer about whether or not you should buy over rent.
And if you're curious about whether or not buying should be something you're really needing to look at, reach out to us. We'd be happy to go over the numbers a little bit more with you to see if your current rent could equal to what a home ownership plan would look like for you.
And so the other thing just to keep in mind is every month you pay rent, you're filling someone else's pocket. Every month that you pay mortgage, you're at least putting it back in your own pocket. So these are just real numbers.
We're going to be honest with you, but there's no obligation.
Of course. So reach out to us. Let's figure out what the next step could look like for you, because we not only work with buyers, we also work with renters.
We've been working with renters too. So
yeah, because that's become a real thing.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you guys have yourselves a great day.
Ciao for now.